Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Bespris, host of the Fantasy NBA Today podcast. And today I'm here to show you how to use Sports Ethos' brand new in season fantasy pass tools. This is something we've never had before at Sports Ethos, and we have 5 of them this year that all come in the Fantasy Pass, either the NBA only or the All Sport Fantasy Pass, which for a limited time are $6 and $9 with coupons. So make sure to check out the site to get the best deal. I'm going to throw them on the screen now, and we're going to go through the 5 tools one by one. The 5 tools are My Team, an analyzer of your own team, a trade rater to break down any trades you might be considering between yourself and an opponent in your fantasy league, a head-to-head breakdown tool where you can load your team and your opponent's team into a database, and the tool will actually pull the weekly matchups and the projections built in either from the Brewski 150 near the start of the year or a dynamic updating projection on the Sports Ethos website to fill in what stats each team is going to get and how many of them. There's also a daily projections tool that we update each day so that you guys can use that for DFS lineups or prop betting, and a weekly projections tool if you're looking a little bit farther down. Again, each of those will be updated as the season goes. Let's go ahead and throw it on the screen now. The first tool, as I make the background a little bit less insane, is the My Team tool. The My Team tool allows you to load your own players into a database and see how you look against an average opponent. As you can see here on the left, I've preloaded a team of 13 players. This actually is a team that I have in some head-to-head league this year. Don't worry about it. And this is what they come up with. I didn't load them in any particular order. I just put them in the order that I think they were on a Yahoo database page. The nice thing about this here is that, again, you can click on this little drop-down button next to any of the players' names. Click the cell, and the drop-down comes up, and you can scroll through the names. Or if you prefer, let's get rid of Markel Fultz in this first one. You can actually just wipe out the name, and you can type it in, F-U-L, and then hit enter, and it'll fill in the name for you. The system will load the stats by itself. So come up with any name you like. I just typed in Smith because there are a few. Let's put in Jabari Smith Jr. I'll click it. Boom. The stats come up. You've got them at your fingertips. So this is a great way to see how your team looks against an average opponent. As you can see, Z scores per game, Z scores by totals. That incorporates how many games your players are going to play over the course of a year. As you can see, my team tends to be, in this case, somewhat of a healthy one. You can also change how you view it using this yellow bolded per game button right now. You can switch to totals. You can see the total numbers, Z scores per game, Z score totals. I happen to just like regular per game numbers because that's the easiest thing to look at on the My Team page. This is a really cool way to see how your team fares against an average opponent. And here, this totals per game, you can see minutes per game, games played, points per game. This is basically points for game played. Your average field goal percent over a week, threes per player, which not that great, actually. Free throws, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, and turnovers. So this is a nice little starting point for the tools and a great way to adjust your team as you make adds and drops to kind of see how things are going. As you can see, this team is basically a punt turnovers club that's pretty good in everything else. Tool number 2 is the trade analyzer. This one's pretty straightforward. It has the same button at the top where you can switch between per game totals, Z scores per game, or Z score totals, and you simply load in players on either side of a trade. I just pulled 2 players out of the sky on each side in a trade that I thought would be relatively evenly matched, and as it turns out, I didn't really do that. Brooke Lopez and Jordan Poole for Miles Turner and Markel Fultz. This again right now, because I'm recording this tutorial on October the 25th. Most of these numbers are built on the Brewski 150 projections, but as you go, as the season progresses, these numbers will be adjusted based on the rapidly changing dynamic projections at Sports Ethos. You don't actually have to do anything about that. So again, this is pretty easy. If you wanted to wipe some players' names out, I'll just take Brooke Lopez out of that first spot. We'll take Jordan Poole out of the second spot. What if we wanted to trade somebody else for these guys? I don't know, come up with any example. Say Devin Booker goes in the first slot. That's a pretty big win. And then player number 2 can be somebody that is, I don't know, we think going to live somewhere on the outskirts of town. That would be Jayshawn Tate. He's a pretty big negative. There you go. So the value here, you can see the impact value is positive in this case because Jayshawn Tate is expected to basically be a nothing. Or what if you said you were going to send only Devin Booker out and get Turner and Fultz back? Now, all of a sudden, believe it or not, that value becomes a negative. So this is now saying you've made your team worse because you're using 2 slots to replace the one better player. So this thing does understand that getting the best player in a deal does have value. And you also want to adjust the trade based on, is the guy you're getting back or the guy you're sending out, is that sort of a dead roster slot? Is that a streamer level guy? Or is it someone you're going to be keeping long term? So in this case, the trade rater is suggesting you'd rather just have Devin Booker because his value by itself is actually better than the value of these 2 players combined. Even though Markelle Fultz is pretty good, he's actually more of a keep your team kind of level player, whereas Booker advances it forward a lot. Miles Turner advances your team forward a little bit. This is how you use the trade rater. This one's fairly straightforward. Just make sure that you understand the nuances of the value tab. That's the one you're really going to want to be looking at, and also understanding, is the player you're getting back, say if you flip this thing, say the incoming players, you got, 1 very good player, you're sending out 2 slightly clunkier ones. This is a good way to understand what that roster slot is worth. Tool number 3, I'm actually going to jump right over the head-to-head breakdown because that's my favorite tool. I want to save that one for last. Here's the daily projections. I feel like I can show you this one because it's just for October 25th. Right now, the drop down only shows October 25th because that's today. You'll get daily projections as they get loaded into the system dynamically. You'll be able to update that, or we'll be updating that on the back end. You shouldn't have to do much with that. You can change the view mode here to 9-cat or 8-cat. It doesn't have a points league view yet. Hopefully you'll have some sort of system where on your own, if you wanted to plug it into a points league, you could just do that via calculator yourself. But this is the way everything looks for today. I believe these are all the players that are playing today. As you can see, like Joel Embiid is not near the top of the board because the Sixers aren't playing. Pretty straightforward. No Anthony Davis near the top of the board because the Lakers aren't playing. Thunder are, Pacers are, Celtics are. So here's your assessment of the top of the board for your daily projections today. This is pretty easy. You can just scroll down and take a look at what the system projects everybody to do. I don't want to scroll down too far, or we're going to have to wait for the system to load a bunch more. And now the weekly projections, which is also fairly straightforward. This is the tab where you'd load the different weeks. Only right now, this first week is loaded in, so there's no drop-down button. Again, here in the 9-cat button, if you wanted to switch it over to 8-cat, you can do that. It would switch on its own. Switch it back to 9-cat. It would just change the way that the players are ordered. Mine is not changing because I've frozen the page right now. Everything in these tools, as a quick note before we get to the head-to-head projections tool, head-to-head breakdown, which again, this one's my favorite. Everything is being done on the Sports Ethos server side. So to access these tools, and I'll talk more about this at the end, first of all, you get a Fantasy Pass. We will be sending out each Fantasy Pass member their own unique link that only you can use to get into these tools, because it will then pipe you straight through to the Sports Ethos projection server. You will have a one-to-one connection with that server that nobody else can use, and it's not through the website itself. Here's the head-to-head breakdown, and I love this one so much. So I preloaded it here because I didn't want you guys to have to sit and watch me type in a whole bunch of names all at the same time, but look how amazing this tool is. So I put in that same team that I had from the My Team page with Fultz as the first guy, all the way down to DeAnthony Melton here at the bottom. It's loading in the actual weekly projections of that team. You can see it up here, the yellow tab. You can change what week you're looking at. I'm going to do it here to see if it'll actually still have a connection with the back. And it does. Look at that. Mine still has a connection with the server. I'll switch it back to 1024. We'll look at this week. So this is showing what these guys are going to do during this week. Pretty amazing, huh? It pulls the games played from the server, so it knows exactly how many games each of your guys is going to have. Fultz plays twice, Bain plays 3 times, so on and so forth. It is now showing everything that they're going to do over the course of this week. So Markelle in 2 games, 30 points, a 3-pointer, 8.5 rebounds, 12 assists, 3 steals, 0.8 blocks, 4.8 turnovers. That's it. That's the whole week. And it does it for all of these guys. So plug in your team, plug in your opponent's team. You can kind of see how you guys stack up right from the outset. As you can see, my team is in pretty good shape right now. I look to be advantageous in points, field goal percent, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. And I'm losing turnovers by a pretty sizable margin. Free throws are pretty damn close. That's one where maybe I could win, because free throws fluctuate heavily, frankly, on a week-to-week basis. 3-pointers is one where it does seem like perhaps I'm a little behind because I'm playing a team that has Steph Curry and Paul George and Damian Lillard. That team's probably going to win 3-pointers a lot. So I don't feel all that bad about being behind. But if this is something that I wanted to adjust, think of it this way. I could take Christian Wood out of the mix here, since after game 1, it does seem like he's kind of my worst player. Remove Christian Wood. As you can see, my advantage in points, field goal percent, boards, blocks gets smaller. The free throw number gets tighter. The 3-pointers number, if we switch him in, let's say I decided I wanted to stream somebody. I don't know who's out on the waiver wire. Let's say Taurean Prince was actually out there. Boom, you plug him in. All of a sudden, well, no impact on free throws whatsoever. 3-pointers get to negative 5.7, and you guys can kind of go on like this. By the way, this Taurean Prince projection is obviously wrong because this was all created before he was announced as the starter with Jared Vanderbilt out. If you wanted to look at somebody else that, say, I don't know, let's just take a player that actually is going to play some kind of minutes. Let's put Malik Monk in there. You throw him in. Actually, that didn't really help my team very much, but I did get much closer in free throws. I lost my edge in field goal percent. I got pretty close in 3-pointers. Maybe it's safe to say I'm not going to catch this dude in threes. So let's take Monk out. Let's say, okay, where can I actually make sure I lock down my week? Probably in field goal percent. So maybe we should be looking at guys that are just going to get in there, dunk a few basketballs, and really do almost nothing else. I put in Nick Richards. I don't think it switched off of Malik Monk. I think I lost my connection to the server, but you guys get the idea. That's how the head-to-head matchup tool works. It's super cool. You can change it based on what your opponent is doing in the middle of the week. And this is just one that I think is really fun to plug in at the beginning of your week and see, hey, if nobody does anything in this matchup, where am I likely to win? Where am I likely to lose? What are the things that I should be attacking if I want to go for a big win this week? What are the things I should be doing if I want to just ensure that I get that weekly knock? Couple of notes here on the end as I pivot away from showing you guys the tool on the screen. Again, how to get these tools. That's the first thing. One, you got to sign up for a premium membership over at Sports Ethos. That's not too tough. You go to sportsethos.com. Click on the premium tab, choose Get Premium. Also, if you're following Ethos Fantasy BK on Twitter, they're tweeting out the links to the buy page pretty much constantly, so it's very easy to find there. The NBA Fantasy Pass is $6 a month. It's well worth it to just get these tools alone, but it also includes schedule grids, streaming charts, pickups of the night. You've got just a laundry list of things that go well beyond that. Dynasty premium stuff, Dynasty ranks are in there. You've got buy low, sell high. You've got all kinds of stuff. But again, you get these tools in that. Also, for a limited time with coupon code ETHOS246, ETHOS246, you can upgrade to the All Sport Fantasy Pass for just an extra $1 a month. That gets you baseball and football as well. So that's step 1. Step 2, after you buy the Fantasy Pass, we will be sending out, again, individualized links that connect you to these tools. So that's the way you get that. If that's something that you didn't get, and we haven't sent them out to everybody yet as of the time of me recording this thing, but over the course of this week, we'll be sending out a link to these tools to basically everybody that has a Fantasy Pass membership of any kind. So if you get in, you haven't had one yet, you can reach out. Very easy to do. support@sportsethos.com. If you have any questions, you can also reach out in the Discord to Andre Lemos or Keith Cork. They can also get you linked up with making sure that you get these links as well. And then phase 3 is just enjoy, because they're amazing. They're going to be getting upgrades throughout the season. You don't even have to do anything because it's all through It's all online. So as we update the tools, it'll just show up when you click your link. It's pretty amazing. We're very excited about that. And after you guys, I hope, enjoyed the draft tracker tool during this draft season, this is the next step in Sports Ethos becoming a tools organization in addition to just content. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope I helped you guys understand the new tools here at Sports Ethos. I am Dan Bespris. You can find me on social at Dan Bespris if you have any questions there. Have a great day. We'll talk to you guys soon.